back, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa has outlined the party's key priorities, as we've been saying since the top of the hour, as he delivered not the State of the Nation address, that's only happening next month, but he was delivering the January 8th statement for the ANC, crafted by the National Executive Committee. Ramaphosa says rebuilding the governing party to be a more effective and trusted agent of change is at the top of the list. He's also announced that the ANC is committed to rebuilding South Africa's struggling economy. For more on the January 8th statement, let's get the reaction of ANC veteran Thandi Lujabe-Rankoe. Ma'am Thandi, a very good evening to you. Welcome to the program. First things first, you have been with the ANC for decades now. How would you say it has evolved over the years?
It's always nice when people talk about the ANC, because I've been in this African National Congress since I was a young person, and then went to exile at an early age also when I was just a little over 30. And we had our father then in exile as Oliver Tambo, who was really our father. He brought us up as our parents would have done. So this organization is very special to me, and I'll always defend it. By saying I'll always defend it, it doesn't mean that when there is something wrong, I will say yes, yes. No, there's nothing like that.
And there's a lot of conversation currently, and has been for the better part, I think, of the last decade at least, about what is wrong in the ANC in its current state. As a veteran, what do you believe has gone wrong in the ANC?
You know what, this, you are talking to me about a very hard, should I say hard or hitting subject. Mm-hmm. It hurts to us because we grew up in this organization, as I've said, but it is very true that we see a lot of greed that was never there before. I remember when we were growing up in exile, if I have two dresses, another one hasn't got, and I would give, we would share. There was a lot of sharing. There's nothing like that now. All we see is greed. And I think by you, I mean the young generation should really make sure that there is a change.
So President Cyril Ramaphosa, speaking today, spoke about that very issue, organizational renewal and rebuilding the ANC. What do you think then should be the priority in doing that and getting it right?
You know what? In the ANC, the ANC that I know, it wasn't only the elderly people who had experiences about this and that, but the young people got involved and were taught everything. And you know, today we would not be where we are today if the ANC of those days didn't train the young people. Remember Chris Hani and others, they were in this organization. I'm just mentioning him, not just him. If the young people were not there, we wouldn't be where we are today. I have to old because we are getting old now. Look at me, I'm 86. Do I have all the strength now? Well, I feel for the ANC, but I can't be running around any longer. I can just be hating and hating, but I want to see a change, and that is me.
So just on people such as yourself, who, as you say, are veterans in their 80s, late 70s, some in their 90s, is there still a role for those who still have the energy and the good health to assist that you think they can play to bring the ANC back from the brink?
You know what? Some of us, the people I was with, are gone already because of age or whatever, you know. But we still have people like Gertrude Shopper. You don't hear much about her right now, but she was actually in exile, the one who was in charge of the Women's League, a very strong woman. And I think today, now and again, we should be mentioning her name or saying, oh, can we have a day when we can visit her? We cannot just forget, because these people played a major role. It's like when you talk about Newzroom Afrika and all that, we cannot forget those people. I remember young in exile seeing Newzroom Afrika sitting alone, because he had run away from South Africa, and then he was there. There was a rumor about him being, sometimes one would say, oh, I'm a spy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot defend myself unless someone defends me and say I'm not. Why I'm mentioning Newzroom Afrika, I want to tell you today, and I want to tell all of you, that I was so happy when Newzroom Afrika was arrested and was rotting in Robben Island, because it proved that he was never a spy.
Mm-hmm. Something else I'd like to ask you about, ma'am, is the issue of factionalism. And I'm not wanting to speak to factionalism as it exists currently, but I'm wondering how, when the likes of yourselves were younger members of the ANC, how was a contestation at an ideological level handled, and how was contestation in terms of positions and power dealt with? Because those two appear to be the key issues driving the formation of factions in the ANC. And as you've seen now, it all plays out very publicly, and it's very messy, and a lot of the senior leaders even don't trust each other today precisely because of those issues.
That's a good one. During our time, number one, there was nothing like this one comes from KwaZulu-Natal, this one is Xhosa, this one is what. We were just one. And also, what is more important is the fact that when we are sitting all together discussing issues, very, very serious issues, we would then be discussing together and then say, oh, we need someone who is good in ABC. And for an example, I would say, so. And others would say, oh, yes, that is the best person. And we would all support that person. Support that person even with a clean shirt, so that he can have two shirts when he's traveling or is going to speak somewhere. We were so united. We were one. I wouldn't have 2, 3 dresses and you don't have. There was a lot of sharing.
Mm-hmm. And do you think, ma'am, that it changed? Because back then, you all had a united goal. The idea was to liberate South Africa and see the freedom of the majority black people in this country. That has now been done in essence. But along with that, when people got into government, people became more ambitious and realized how much they could achieve for themselves personally at whatever cost.
That's what I call greed. Then were you fighting for your country, for the liberation of your country, or for yourself? What were you fighting for? We were fighting for the people of South Africa in general, not for ourselves, so that we can enrich ourselves and the others remain poor. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be rich people, because some of the people, they work in order to reach that stage where they can be comfortable and be rich. But at the same time, we should not forget what we were fighting for. We shouldn't forget those people who are there still. I can't remember what you call those places where there are those funny houses. You know, a family will live in one room. Why? We still have those things. I'm not saying that the government could have managed to change the whole country at one go, but there should be a process so that we don't see those people suffering there. It does hurt me anyway.
Ms. Thandi Lujabe-Rankoe, an ANC veteran, grateful for your time tonight, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.